Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and how do you destroy your video game? How do you just ruin all hype without even touching the quality of your video game in one swoop? Well, I want to talk about it today. When I was younger, I grew up in the PS1 and 64 era of video gaming. When I was a kid, I was growing up playing PS2, Metal Gear Solid 2, and good old-fashioned, all the video, Final Fantasy X, whatever you want to call it. Now, back in my day, the internet wasn't as prevalent as it was nowadays. And so, online-only video games weren't, like the norm. For a game to be online only, it had to make actual sense. I grew up in online only games like World of Warcraft, like Final Fantasy XI, like MMORPGs. Worlds where thousands of people connect and you can see them running around in an open world city, okay? You can hunt together, you can invite them to your party, make guilds. A game, a style of game that it makes sense for it to be always online. When I was younger, I used to play games like Borderlands 1 over the internet with my friends using an offline character that I built. We just used Xbox Live to connect to one another, okay? When the internet was gone, it's not like Borderlands 1 stopped working. It would just say, there's no Xbox Live connection. You can play single player or split screen. Remember that? Remember when games used to have split screen in them? That's how it happened. Then the world evolved into things like Destiny 2, where it was effectively the same thing as Borderlands. Sure, there's a hub world where you can see a few people running around, but for the most part, you're jumping into instances with your friends, alright, taking care of a job. Usually a party of 3, maybe 4, maybe up to 6. So really, it made me wonder, what's the point of having online only when you don't need to? See, online only video games have a lifespan, okay? Before anybody goes, but Muda, the internet is more prevalent. No, stop it. Okay, I have a great internet connection, but let's just call a spade what a spade is. When you tie your game to an online-only infrastructure, that means when you buy that title, 10 years down the road, when the servers go offline, because they will go offline, that means that game you bought is a paperweight. That means if you want to relive that game 20 years down the road, and wait, but Muda, who plays games that old? I do. I'm playing through Persona 3. I just played through Silent Hill 2. Guess what? I'm playing through Chrono Trigger again. Last time I played that was when I was getting my appendix removed. I play that all the time. Yes, people play older games, but when you have an online-only infrastructure, that means that game has a shelf life. Games like Metal Gear Survive, not that I'd want to relive that dog shit again, but let's say I did. Well, it's online only. So really, it's up to the developer, Konami in that case, to patch the game at the end of life so it has offline support. Now, this means that the physical discs you buy are worthless because they don't contain that patch from the beginning, and they needed internet to function. Now, there's another game that came out recently called Gran Turismo 7. For those of you who don't know Gran Turismo 7, GT7 is an amazing game. I just want to start off by saying I love the simulator. It's not often we get a Gran Turismo game, especially a mainline entry. Last time we had it was GT6 back in the PS3 days. GT7 on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 is the next mainline entry, and by all accounts, I've been playing it. I have a steering wheel and a gear setup going. I've been driving these cars. I've been driving fast cars, breakneck speeds, drifting around corners, channeling my initial D and having a good time. From a gameplay perspective, this game is good, and it's 1-to-1 with real-life cars. Trust me, I can verify this. I have literally set the game to manual steering, compared it to other cars I've driven in manual steering, and I can tell you very much it's a 1-to-1 copy of the real world, if you know how to drive a car. Look, gas is expensive. I can't street race. This is the only legal, realistic way for me to handle it. But this game has an online-only lifespan. It's connected to the internet, which means if you want to play the game's single-player campaign, because there is a single-player campaign, all GT games have a single-player campaign, you start out as a level 1 racer, you become a level 35 mob boss by the end of it, with like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Porsches, whatever you want to call it. But see, in GT7's case, when the internet is disconnected, there's no progression. You don't make money. You don't do any of that bullshit. The game is very limited. In fact, without an internet connection, the game is basically a fucking demo. They even say it on the box art itself. Most functionality is gone with the absence of the internet. So why is this a big deal? Because in the beginning, I'm like, the internet's prevalent. Everyone has the internet, okay? Fucking aliens from outer space have the internet now, okay? This is why it's a problem. Yesterday or 2 days ago, the game got patched, all right, version 1.07. The problem with version 1.07 is it broke the game for about 30 hours. Now here's the post from GT7's online Twitter where they said, a serious bug was found in update 1.07, so we will extend the server maintenance, and we will inform you of the maintenance cancellation time as soon as the details are known. So what happens during maintenance is the game is offline, okay? You can't progress. People who bought the game for $60, $70 now are unable to play it. Now you might be like, but Nuya, it's only 30 hours. Just wait. You know, I could wait, all right? But the reality is sometimes I want to get a quick race in. Sometimes I want to do something in the middle of a render or some job being taken care of. When a game is offline, that means my $70 purchase is fucking extinct. That means I cannot access the game that I purchased. And why is this a big deal? Well, it goes back to online only. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm not a boomer. Like, I've played games like World of Warcraft, so I know in certain cases having an online connected experience makes sense. But in games like Gran Turismo's case, where basically 100% of the processing is done on the client side, meaning on your actual PlayStation box, the server literally serves as a, server-sided check just to make sure you're online and connected. Now, Gran Turismo's case is this was meant to prevent cheating. But see, back in the day, there was a game known as Diablo 2 that allowed you to play a game that most people played online and separate your saves by having an offline save and an online save. Meaning that if you wanted to play it online with the rest of the community, you would have to play it 100% connected to the internet, and that was okay. Because we had the option of playing that game offline with our own server client-sided saves if we felt like it. When Gran Turismo's case, you don't have the option. The server goes down, fuck you. Okay, you're not playing the game anymore. Okay, you might as well stick your hand in your ass cheeks and goatsy, because that's the closest you're getting to some level of progression in this racing game. That's the issue. See, when it doesn't make sense, it burns you a little bit. Every game you buy with an online-only infrastructure is limited in lifespan. It will die at some point. Maybe, if God intervenes, the developers could add an offline patch at the end of life. But that's a whole lot of coulda, shoulda, and most likely never happens. Now, why is it that a game like GT7 would go out of its way to keep people connected online? Well, I don't think it's just we don't want to make sure people are cheating, because the cheats that could happen is people could download the save file onto a flash drive, put it into a computer, modify it with software, and they could give themselves millions of dollars in the game so they could buy whatever car they wanted, upgrade whatever they wanted, and take it online. Or they could even cheat the cars themselves to give them unreal stats, which is why, in a lot of cases, video games will have server-sided checks to make sure accounts haven't been modified. Maybe if you have 1 hour of playtime, you shouldn't have $600 billion in credits. Maybe your Lamborghini shouldn't have the stats of a SpaceX shuttle, all right? Maybe it'll check all those little variables and ban you from the server, or, disqualify a car from entry, as the game already does. But I don't buy the no cheating argument. What I do buy is selling microtransactions and having some bullshit variant of DRM. To understand what online only means for this, again, remember, this is the first Gran Turismo mainline entry that is actually tied to a server. That means when this server goes down, GT7 is not going to be accessible. And you might be like, but Nuda, we'll be playing Gran Turismo 8 by then. Dude, I'm still playing Gran Turismo 3 sometimes on the PlayStation 2. Just because something new comes out doesn't mean I just throw away the old, okay? I'm not a consumer that just, literally plays the brand new title and throws away the old as soon as something comes by. I relive old shit all the time. Trust me, it's not a foreign concept. But I think a lot of this has to do with keeping people connected to an infrastructure, not just for DRM, but to sell you microtransactions. And that's a big problem with GT7. See, ever since they updated the game to version 1.07, it seems as though the actual payouts have decreased. So there's a couple things in the world circuit, which is where you do the races in the game, and you do these races, you earn money, and use these money to buy cars. Now, some of the payouts have been reduced. In certain cases, for instance, according to a Discord user who was actually checking for all these payout changes, the World Touring Car 800 went from 5,000 credit payouts to 70,000. So in some cases, this makes sense, given the amount of racing you have to do. The 5,000 payout wasn't good. But in some cases, all right, payouts, such as the GT Cup Grade 3 Spa-Francorchamps, went from 75,000 to 50,000 credits. So a pretty sharp decline. In some cases, all right, this can go from 65K to 35K. Now, granted, the reason they did this, and I shit you not, adjusted the rewards for events inside World Circuit according to driving time and difficulty. So, in order to make it more realistic, I get it's the real driving simulator, but it's still a video game at the end of the day, Polyphony. You clearly did this so we can buy the microtransactions. Because in Gran Turismo, we have things known as grinding metas, okay? This is like the third hardest game to grind in terms of credits per hour. And it's only gotten worse ever since this patch. And no, you can't just uninstall the patch and play the game offline to earn money. It's an online-only game. Once they make these changes, it's like the Bible, okay? You can't change it. You can't do anything about it. You're fucked. Now, if you look at the car collection for Gran Turismo 7, it's a little underwhelming, okay? A lot of the cars seem like they exist beyond 2017, so there's not a whole lot of new cars that I've been really noticing. Like, I sort of noticed that there's a range, and there's a big gap in recent years where cars aren't introduced. For instance, just in my experience, like, starting off, there are a few Mustangs that you can pick, but even the Mustang GT and the GT350R Shelby do not have the new, like, digital dashes, which probably takes more to, like, code in, but at the same time, like, it's not even like you're getting the most premium trim of these vehicles. They have, like, they showcase Tesla as a manufacturer, but they only have, like, one goddamn Tesla. They don't even have the Model S Plaid from the newer years, the one that has, like, absolute, you know, killer acceleration. No, you have, like, a Tesla from 2015. Okay, I'm pretty sure that was in GT Sport already, so I don't know why I bought Gran Turismo 7 expecting a recent collection of Tesla vehicles. I don't know. That's just one little gripe. If you look at their microtransactions and you look at the payout correlation, it all starts to make sense. Some cars in the game can cost up to 3 million. Okay, credits. Above 3 million in certain cases, sometimes way more than that. To grind to that amount takes you a lot of hours. Now, I'm not against grinding in games like this whatsoever. I've done it in the past. But when you look at this, it really starts to solidify why they reduced the payouts, but the car prices are still the same. Now, I shit you not, according to the actual developers, the car prices make sense because some cars are rare. Therefore, their prices actually reflect the real-life market. Okay, look, if I wanted to experience the real-life market, okay, I'd fucking buy cars in reality. I wouldn't be playing Gran Turismo, okay? You think I want to relive Gran Turismo to know how bad the used car market is? Get the fuck up out of here! Here's the actual add-ons. Here's the microtransactions they've got. So, in certain cases, you can spend, like, $3, so this has got to be, like, $1.99 US, for 100,000 credits, okay? Now, there are, like, tickets, like, little spins you can do in the game to get money. I've never gotten anything over 10 grand, so I really don't have any place to say. You can buy 250k worth of credits, 750k. But if you want to buy those big cars, you better be ready to spend like $20 for 2 million Gran Turismo credits. So let's say a car is 3 million credits. Normally you would have to spend $30 if you were to just buy it with microtransactions. But you see, a lot of these companies do something really shitty where they don't give you 3 million credit packs. They want you to overspend to get the car in microtransaction money. So you got to spend $40 to buy some of those Lamborghinis, to buy some of those Porsches, to buy some of those Aston Martins. $40 for a car versus hours of like sweatshop grinding should really put into effort why it's bad, why it shouldn't be expected. Remember, this is a $70 game. This is not a free-to-play game by Polyphony. No. You have to pay money to then work in a sweatshop racing crappy tracks until you are actually able to buy the cars that you really want. Progression is slowed because of it. Now again, I didn't mind it too terribly hard because I have been earning money just playing the game. But when payouts get reduced, but the car prices remain the same, that hurts me a little inside. Look, clearly I'm bent out of shape, okay, about Gran Turismo 7. And the reason I'm bent out of shape is this is a good game. I've been enjoying this game, all right? I think recently there's been such a, like, every time I go on YouTube, it's always like, this game sucks, this game is bad, negativity. I do the same thing sometimes on my channel, and I'm guilty of the exact same thing. But when it comes to, like, video games that actually have a good core to it, like Gran Turismo 7, it's a good simulation racer, and I'm a fan of simulation racers. I put hundreds of hours into Forza Motorsport games, not Horizon, Motorsport games, because I like driving these fast track cars at breakneck speeds with the utmost simulation physics. It's like a guilty pleasure for me. So Gran Turismo was an immediate buy. But when it's marred with microtransaction problems, online server issues, things that do not correlate to the core of the gameplay. They're just they're just portions of the game that ultimately take away from the experience when they really shouldn't have existed, or they shouldn't absolutely burn me, okay? Because of the core, you have a good racing game. Unfortunately, Sony, or somebody at Polyphony, I like to believe it's both parties involved that came to this conclusion, realized that maybe having a online-only infrastructure made some sense to them behind the scenes, but when it all comes crashing, it's the players that are paying for it. It's the problem with owning the game, the problem with preserving the game becomes an issue. You can't preserve a game that has an online connection like this. And then to grind for hours on end, when in reality you don't have to. And don't give me bullshit about we're trying to reflect the real world. You shouldn't have to reflect the real world that hard, okay? Are you going to reflect gas prices too? Like, am I going to go into the pit stop and like give half my credit paycheck just so I can keep racing on the track? Is that what's going to happen? Are we going to start doing that in the game too, just to give it realism? No, we're not going to get into that stage. When you go down to like the microtransactions and whatnot, these are things that shouldn't break the game. But because of their existence, because of how they're implemented, they're the things giving Gran Turismo 7 a bad rap. I like the game. I hate the absolute business practices gone into it. But I wanted to get this old school sort of rant out. Frankly, I'm covering ARGs. I'm looking at Gemini Home Entertainment. So I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to recoup, and I'm just going to cover something. I'm going to go back to editing, but I wanted to get this out because I was affected by it, like many other players. And we shouldn't have been. So yeah, fuck Sony for doing that. This is me, Mutahar, and yeah, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.